What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Versus. We got a crazy show tonight. We are going to be talking about Malignant versus The Conjuring. That's right. Plus, we're going to be doing Swayze Appreciation Week. This is the week that Patrick Swayze passed away, and we're going to be talking about his great movies and comparing them and just having some fun talk. Before we get started, guys, I need you guys to like, share, subscribe, click that notification bell, and let us know about let us know what you think of the show. And if you have any questions or have any topics you'd like to be on the show, let us know, and we can do that in the future. Let's get everybody in here. How you doing today, Curtis?
I'm doing well, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. And we also have Dustin Stroud in the house. Hey, what's up, guys? Woo! Yeah, I'm just chilling. I'm a ventriloquist now. Oh, that's awesome, Dustin. I'm glad you can make it. Yeah, what were you going to say, Curtis?
No, I was just going to say, real quick, congratulations to Smile Screen for getting 1,000 subscribers. Good job, guys.
Yeah, that was a double air horn. Yes, thank you. And thank you to everyone in the chat that came over from Small Screen. I need to pull them up. Where are you guys? Here they are. We got people in the house. We got Leroy Kong. Hello, Clint. I'm so sorry about my behavior. I didn't even notice you having behavior.
Leroy, we wanted to.
Leroy's the best, dude.
We want to hear you talk, man.
He's like,
yeah.
How dare... He was calling Warner Brothers clones. I back it, dude. He was
preaching truth is what he was doing. He was preaching truth.
Exactly what he was doing. Preaching the truth. That's right. And then we got Rajneesh Sharma in the house. Hey guys, what's up? Rajneesh, how you doing, man? Always glad to have you as part of the chat. And hey, at Leroy Kong, you were amazing on Small Screen, laying down facts. Exactly. Also, Hey guys, back now. Didn't want to leave James by himself. Poor James. I guarantee you James is going to be here in just a second. I hate that I had to bail on him. I had this scheduled for 8. I should have done it for 8:30, but I had it scheduled for 8, and I think from now on, I think we're going to start at 8:30. Yeah, so all of a sudden I looked, and I didn't want people to have gone on and hit a reminder button, and then if you don't show up on time, YouTube will kick you off. And then so these people are like, yeah, I hit the reminder, it never reminded me, and they never show up, or they think they're going to the other link, and you had to restart and start a new link. So I didn't want to do that, and you're like, Clint, cool story. Can we get to the show now? Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's talk about horror. How about that? You guys are my two friends that love horror more than all of my other friends. Start out the gate, we're going to talk about Malignant. That movie was something, man. Budro, I saw your post on Facebook, and I was like, I guess this is something. Ooh. And his post was like, yeah, the first 55 minutes was like her first hour and whatever, it was like, and then the end is like, what the hell? Which is pretty much explains the movie. I mean, I was like, and I loved this movie. Like, for me, horror, I get scared. I'm not a big fan of stuff like Saw, like gore stuff. That's not my jam. Something that's gonna scare me is something like The Conjuring, like possession and demons and stuff like that gives me the creeps. And so that stuff will spook me when I'm watching a movie, and I got spooked from The Conjuring. But Malignant, I was kind of like, what the hell is going on? Mystery type of a show, and there's some supernatural stuff that's kind of creepy. You start seeing some limbs bending in weird ways, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then it turns into John Wick, and I'm like, what the hell? It had the fun, creepy elements of Chucky and Nightmare on Elm Street mixed with John Wick. It turned into a damn superhero by the end. What did you? I loved it. I had a great time, and I was laughing my ass off. I love the feeling you get when you're watching Alien, and the alien comes out of the chest, and it's like, seeing creepy, gross stuff like that. Also, practical effects, seeing somebody's head get chopped off and stuff like Fear Street, that's fun too, because they're ridiculous effects. I love that stuff. And I really enjoy this movie, and now I'm just going on way too long about it. What did you guys think about the movie? We'll start with you, Curtis. What did you think? Or we'll start with Budro. Actually, Budro's the guest. Curtis is here every week. Let's talk to Budro. What was your impression of this movie? What do you think? And then we'll hear what Curtis thinks, and then we're going to talk about what we think compared to The Conjuring, because this is called this show is called Versus. So we're going to put them up against each other. So there you go. Go and I didn't give a synopsis of this movie, so I'm gonna do that.
No worries. That's for. Oh, you want to do that? Okay.
I mean, I got it in my hand. We're talking about Malignant. Paralyzed by fear from shocking visions, a woman's torment worsens as she discovers her waking dreams are terrifying realities. That didn't tell us anything. Budro, you're up.
Well, let me just say this. First off, I am a fan of James Wan. I do think he is a great film director. I think he is, he's called one of the new generation of horror filmmakers, and I think rightly so. He's come a long way in the past 20 years of proving himself as as an established filmmaker that knows how to manipulate the audience. He knows how to manipulate the camera, and he doesn't cheat the audience. Obviously his big claim to fame was he did the first Saw, which was at the time unbelievably original, and he didn't really touch him after that because he was already got his name out there. I think for the most part he's a great filmmaker because he does not rely on cheap jump scares. He does a great job of creating fear and creating dread and setting tone. I think he's really talented at, hinting at story, hinting at items in the story and dropping clues here and there, and really creating a sense of dread and atmosphere in all of his horror films. And a prime example of that is in Conjuring 2, and I know that we're going to talk about Conjuring, but in Conjuring 2, that whole scene where the wife is in that study and the camera goes around and it kind of like goes and you kind of see the portrait of the nun and what's going on here with the nun and it just turns into a great whole sequence, and that's the kind of stuff that James Wan is really good at. He really knows how to manipulate light and shadow, music. He doesn't use, like I said, he doesn't use cheap jump scares, the classic, oh, the cat behind the bed kind of thing, with the sharp strings. He doesn't really do that. So that being said, I wasn't too impressed with Malignant at first. I thought, in the first 5 minutes, I thought the acting was pretty terrible and atrocious. And I was like, oh my God. And then and the writing itself, the script, it seemed okay. It seemed kind of cookie cutter. And I was really surprised because I was like, man, James Wan, you did this? And it seemed very kind of, dare I say, cheesy. It seemed very much along the cheesy lines of horror films. But again, he was doing it in his style. But then, come the third act where all hell breaks loose with the story and it reveals what's happening. That was a hark back to classic late 70s, early 80s horror, much like Basket Case and all those old kind of, Herschel Gordon Lewis films. They were gory and gross, but also terrifying. And it wasn't just fear anymore. It's evoking like, holy shit, what the hell is on the screen, And I think that's what he did really well. I think he went back to those roots really well. So the last 30 minutes, the third act of Malignant, I think really kind of, I think it did a good job of making up for the first hour and 20-ish or whatever it was. Do I think, I saw lots of friends posting, I'm like, oh my God, this is the greatest horror film of the 21st century. No, I don't think that. I don't think it's by far his best film. But I think it was okay. I think if you were to rank it up there, I think it'd be, towards the top-ish or middle-ish kind of thing. But I really, really liked it. I didn't love it. But then again, that's just me. I'm just, I'm really overcritical. But that being said, it's because I love James Wan and I think he's a great filmmaker. And there's a reason that he's considered kind of the new brat. Well, I forgot what the term is called now that they're calling him, but like him and Ari Aster and I think all those the new guys, the new kind of new wave of horror filmmakers. They're called something. It's kind of like the Rat Pack, kind of like the Brat Pack.
Yeah.
It's something like that. But there's a reason he's one of those. He's a big innovator in horror filmmaking. So I really applaud him for that. So that's my take of what I think about Malignant.
Hell yeah! And Curtis, what did you think about Malignant? And then after.
All right.
And then after that, I'll have another question for you, Budro. But go ahead, Curtis.
Okay, so Malignant was an interesting one. Okay, I guess it's my job to be Debbie Downer, but it wasn't. It like yeah, I would not say it was a bad film. Okay, I wouldn't say that. But it wasn't. It started off very tonally as a James Wan film. And then he even said, I watched some of the, trailers and before pre-production stuff. And he was like, if you do the same thing, people get bored. I understand that. And he did something different. If you watch a lot of his other films, it is kind of the same thing. And he does that well. But at the same time, so this was, for Stephen King fans, this was it pulls from the dark half. You can tell, and I appreciated this. I hope the Pixies are getting paid. They pulled from Fight Club to do the Pixies music, the score in the background. It was of course, but like that it kind of it worked well. Like a lot of the stuff worked really well, but it ended up becoming so bonkers that I couldn't take it seriously. And then but it wasn't bonkers enough to be a fun, gory, like off the wall, crazy horror film for me. Like I'll probably have to watch it again, but on the first watch, it was okay. Like it was fine. It was, but it wasn't like the people that are saying that it's so spectacular. They got to watch some other films, man. Like if they want the bonkers, like, they can go watch Blood Diner or something like that. If they want, like a serious horror film or something, like there's plenty of other stuff out there for them. It's I think a good introductory film for horror fans, a very good introductory film for horror fans. But like it kind of, you could tell he's testing new waters, in my opinion.
I love when horror films get so ridiculous that they're stupid. It makes them awesome, like Jason X in space. You know what I mean? It's so ridiculous.
That's the best.
It's so dumb. It's awesome. You know what I mean?
He didn't go that far, though. That's what I mean. Like
that's what's fun.
I agree.
That's what's fun, though.
He didn't go far enough to be that bonkers, in my opinion.
He took us on a journey. He went from Jackie Chan to a wuxia fantasy like Shang-Chi. He took us somewhere. I think Curtis likes his stuff compartmentalized. Like, I need a specific genre. I want a scary film, and then I want this separate film.
Maybe.
Like if it. I think that these guys, these new films that are coming out, they're trying new stuff, and like everything's been done, and it's like when you listen to music. Like pop music, it's like the same formula. There's like 1,000 songs with the same song structure and same chords and new words that all start. Like I feel like maybe these guys they're like, okay, we gotta mix it up, dude. These formulas are getting old. Look, we gotta try. All right, I'm gonna try mixing. I'm gonna like maybe they're gonna have like a horror film. Oh, it's like a haunting, and then by the end, it's gonna be Bollywood dance thing at the end or something. I don't know. Like it seems like a lot of these movies are starting to like just try and pull from different genres and duct tape them together. What do you think?
That very, very true, very true. But at the same time, like it's a film like Midsummer or something like that, like didn't he was definitely trying new things, and I applaud him for that. I'm not against him for that. But he is definitely a ghost guy. Like, he's a ghost supernatural horror guy. Like, and it works well for him tonally. It works well. And he was, I mean, trying to venture in, seemed like in the slasher genre with something else going on. And it was okay. I'm not, but if that's what I'm saying, like it's a good introductory horror film. Raj is actually making some good points in the comments.
Yeah, I was just about to pop those up real quick. Whoop, this is huge. There we go. Most horror,
wicked huge.
Yeah. Most horrors nowadays are just gore porn. The real visceral, chilling horror genre is getting rare in cinema. This is true. And he's got another comment. Horror movies that go too far to the goriness become comedies instead of horror. It feels like it's becoming its own genre.
And he's right, and that's my point.
Yeah.
I like the gore porn. I like the horror comedies. Gore porn, horror comedies, like that goes all the way back to Evil Dead and stuff like that. Like that it's a separate step. And for me as a horror fan, I wasn't sure where this was going. It kind of switched gears on me. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. I need to rewatch it, but
You don't.
Still figuring. I'm probably not, but I will at some point. But he's still figuring out what he wants to do. He wanted a new direction, and he took it. Budro, please elaborate.
I think that is. I didn't do too much research about the film before watching it, because I'm like, I knew that. I had read somewhere like, hey, don't try to prepare yourself for this. Don't watch too much of the, if you watch a trailer, that's fine, but you definitely stay away from spoilers and everything as much as you can. Go into it as blind as you can. So I kind of just thought, okay, well, let's see what he's going to try to do here. So as a horror fan, I just try to read into what's he building? What's the story that he's trying to tell? And again, it's how you mentioned, like he is a ghost guy. He is a supernatural. That's where he's comfortable. That's what he does well. And so you can tell that he was trying to branch out, and he did too. For the most part, he did pull in some other kind of aspects of film that I thought were interesting. To me, it felt like, I'm going to try this, and you could tell that he's viscerally trying it. But, I think it's kind of how you said that, if it is kind of an introductory film, I don't think it's his best one. I don't think it's, the best horror film of the 21st century. I mean, I don't understand. And maybe I've only seen it once. Maybe I do need to watch it again. Now, the thing is, the Conjuring movies, I can go back and I can watch, I've made it a point to go back and watch those. Insidious, I've seen maybe once or twice. I think they're well done. The Saw movies, I watched them once, and now I was done. Maybe the first one I've seen, the James Wan one. But, this one, I mean, I think a lot of people are going to watch it again just because they're like, wait, what? Now they have, this movie does have that reap value of, wait, what did I miss? And you watch it again because of that. So,
that's Sixth Sense kind of thing.
Yeah. People going back and they're watching it again because they're like, what did I actually miss?
I was listening to you guys.
A lot of people.
I was listening to you guys on the way in, like the whole time. I'm like, motherfuckers starting without me, like pedal to the metal on the tollway. But I was listening to you guys. Curtis, you had like some really salient points about the, it just seems like it was like an experiment that kind of hit but didn't hit. But I kind of had a different take on it. That Huang did this one, right?
James Wan, he did both of them.
Yeah, he did both of them, but he also did the original Saw. So I kind of feel like he took everything. Okay, let's not go too far into the other movie yet, because that movie, once I saw that movie and realized.
Which other movie?
The
Conjuring?
The Conjuring.
We're just talking about Malignant right now.
I know. That's why I'm saying I don't want to go into it because it's a whole universe.
Yeah, you
I
can.
don't want to go on a jag just yet. Well, I'll take you guys into deep water. I had to take a shitload of notes because I thought I was up on this. I started watching them both
Oh,
again.
I thought you were saying you had to take a shit. That's why you were late.
That's what
No.
that's
We
what I
understand.
heard
We
too.
get it. We
Yeah.
get it.
Oh
Yeah.
He didn't want to be like, you know, he didn't know. He was like, you didn't know if you don't make the cut, you're not on there. I had to like bust up in here.
Yeah, just pinch it off.
Well, getting back to the movie,
Yeah,
what did you think about it?
Yeah, I loved it. Actually, at first I was like, I don't know, but the more I thought about it, because I've seen a lot of his movies, I think he is sort of using his first couple of movies as a touchstone. But he learned so much about perspective and storytelling from some of these ghost stories that he's told that he brought this sense of like suspense and almost anxiety, like that Hitchcockian, if I can say Cockian.
Yeah, you
But that Hitchcockian kind of thing where you're, you know, it. I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but you know, you'll if you can't figure out what's sort of going on by about halfway through. I mean, nobody could kind of see like the Matrix House of Flying Daggers like ending coming, but
Unless you read. Oh
yeah.
Go ahead.
But I kind of knew, you know, expected sort of the, you know, who the real bad guy was going to be and what it was going to entail. But I thought he is like, yeah, maybe it's like, you know, Tarantino has a couple of those films where like Jackie Brown is not the best Tarantino film. But if you look at Jackie Brown, you can kind of see how it bridges. He gets from, you know, Pulp Fiction and taking everything he learned from like the other ones into some of his later films.
Don't spoil it, Dustin. Hey,
Yeah.
Angie, this is a spoiler show. We're going to talk about
Yeah.
it.
Potential.
I'm
These
trying not to.
These shows are both
Yeah.
free on HBO Max, so there's no
Yeah.
reason for people to have not seen them yet.
And I feel like this is a post. This is one of those like kind of paranormal sort of thing that's like a post Stranger Things deal. So Stranger Things is like a new touchstone, like how Friday the 13th and the Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street things. You kind of have to sort of incorporate
They
it.
showed Jason's face in that one.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? The kind of Stranger Things, like the supernatural was more like almost an upside down world, like kind of thing. It wasn't exactly. And I dug it. Long story short, I dug it. I thought it was well done. At first, I was like, man, it kind of felt campy. And I'm like, what are they having me watch here? You know what I mean? Because I'd seen all the Conjuring and all. First of all, I like what you're saying, Curtis, about the scary movies and stuff and slashers. There's a definite, like, can we make the distinction right now? Like, and Budro, you probably weigh in too. There's a distinction between slasher film and spooky movie. You know what I mean? Where it's like, it leaves you with a weird feeling. You don't, you know, it's not a obvious, it's an existential threat and not a, hey, this guy's going to knife me.
Physical.
Yeah.
Like,
I liked the gear shift into the end.
Me
I thought
too.
I thought it was cool. It's like again going back to music. It's like, okay, you have a, let's say you have a like a pop punk song, and then all of a sudden in the bridge it go into like metal, full metal like breakdown. It's like, yeah, hey, that was a fun little ride you took me on, and then we get, you know, yeah, I thought it was cool. Budro, what do you think, man?
No, yeah, I mean, I agree. That's what I mentioned at the beginning was, you know, at first, the first 1 hour and 20 minutes was kind of, you know, all right, what's going on here, and what kind of film is this, and how is he building this? And then in the last 30 minutes, when that third act kicks in, and all of a sudden he reveals what's happening,
dude.
You're just like, oh shit!
As soon as the jail cell scene happened, you know, if you guys see it,
that was badass.
I was like, oh yeah. I sat up in my chair, and then for the rest of the movie, it was like an adventure. I loved it. I thought it was great.
At first, in the jail cell scene, I thought he just like, it was a cultural thing. Like, oh, he's never been to like an American jail. Oh, sure. The pretty girls getting beat up. And then I realized it's like, Oh, he just set that up so he could fucking have like a bloodbath. It was super. That's what threw me, because it's kind of a little bit campy, and I'm like,
It's super campy.
I don't know what is.
Yeah, the guards just went like to the gas station or something right quick.
I don't know what to make of. I didn't know what to make of it. Then I realized is like I've been on a fucking ride the whole time.
Yeah,
when the girl, the one that was abducted fell through. Where if I was in the lair, that's what fucked me up. I thought, I'm like, man, I got this shit pegged. Yeah, there's probably a connection, blah, 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 blah. But then it's like, there's even being totally obvious and campy, he was still able. I almost think it was like an exercise. Like this was like an exercise in filmmaking, but like well done. But it was like, because there's a few devices here that it's like, it was like Clint said with a piece of music, like Muse or something. How can I make a spaghetti western song like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like, it left me with a, what, like when you guys were saying, when I was coming in here, I like kept hearing you saying like, I was like, what the fuck? That's exactly how I felt. I'm like, what the fuck is, when she fell through into her apartment, I was like, what the fuck? Did that happen? Or
Which
is this
part
some
are you
kind of
talking about?
weird?
She fell through?
She like is like
the
trying
roof.
to
the
sort
mom,
of escape.
the mom.
You find out later is the mom, spoiler.
Oh
Spoilers.
yeah,
The
oh
abducted
yeah, that
person
part. I was like,
falls
huh?
through. I'm like, did that really happen, or is this some kind of weird like Hellraiser, another dimension? And then I'm like, oh damn.
And you still don't know. It's like, is she?
Yeah.
Are we been fooled the whole time? And she is like, she's, you know, and it's not her. It's the other thing. Anyway, Curtis, you look like you were chomping on the bit to say something a second ago.
Well, no, I was gonna say like that's one of the issues I have with James Wan films. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer. That's my job, I guess. But it does. They go through for an hour and 20 minutes until they hit, and when they hit, it's usually worth it. But I mean, in this one, like he like said, he was trying to be different so that, you know, to appeal to new audiences, and so because you do the same thing and it gets cold and stuff like that. And I don't know. Like to me, Insidious was top of his craft. That to me, and you can say I'm wrong. That's fine. But and you notice he created a lot of these franchises that carried on, and then he didn't hit them again. Like you know, he didn't hit the Saws again. He didn't hit he produced the second Conjuring, maybe the third one, I don't know, but he didn't direct them again. He puts his mark on them, and it is very much so his style. This one, like, he was trying out new styles, and it was kind of obvious. Like, it wasn't you know, I'm a horror fan, sorry. So but it was kind of obvious, and I think it worked, but I'm not sure. Like, that's what I mean. I'm not sure how I feel about this movie yet. Like, I don't think it was fun enough to be like a one, like, I just want to see some crazy carnage, like, and throw it in. And at the same time, it's like, I want to see something that scares the shit out of me and throw it in. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet.
Do you think he makes every movie, like, you know, it takes a little while to hit, makes every movie like it's Freebird or fucking Hotel California? He just takes his time, kick your ass, and then by the time the solo comes in, you're like, oh my God. You just like totally.
Yes, he knows how to
invested.
manipulate. He knows how to manipulate the audience, and he knows how to manipulate pacing.
He gets you invested with the pacing.
Yes, and then so that and that's what the original Conjuring did really well. Not to kind of segue into that, but
let me know when you're ready to talk about that. I took a shitload of notes because this is actually a subject. The whole subject matter of The Conjuring is something that scared the shit out of me as a child. Like, I had a brush with some of the subject matter.
Well, we're about to get into The Conjuring, but Budro, what were you saying about the pacing, James Wan's pacing, as far as filmmaker goes?
I think that's what makes him such a talented and innovative filmmaker, is that he's able to manipulate the pacing at which he's able to feed the audience when he wants to feed the audience, and they're not, you know, I think they're not kind of like too desperate for information. He extends the exposition as he needs it to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think The Conjuring is a really good example of that. I think in this film, I think he did that a little bit too long. I think that's just me personally. Insidious, also the same thing. I think in Curtis, I think he actually did direct Conjuring 2. I think that was one of the ones that he
I might
actually
be wrong.
Yeah, he actually did say, I will direct Conjuring 2 because he wanted it. He said, this one's really dear to me, so I want to take care of it. And then I think Conjuring 3 was when he finally handed it off.
Okay, fair enough.
All the Insidious, I think he also handed off.
Yeah.
But I know that because the Conjuring ones, those were really kind of near and dear to his heart, especially because they actually did have the original couple in them, or at least the lady. I think those are the ones that he really took his time to. I know he worked on them. He did a lot of test screenings with them. He saw how the audience would react, and he went back and reworked on them. And and not because the studio told him, it's because he said, I want to make this, I want to pace this, and I want to tell the story well. If you look at The Conjuring, man, I mean, The Conjuring is just a good film, period. Not just a good horror film. I think it's a good film. There's good acting, there's good directing, there's good set design, there's good production design, good music, and it's overall, I think it's a good film.
I agree. Real quick, I'm gonna for people that might be listening that maybe have never seen The Conjuring, I'm gonna give them a synopsis really quick. In 1970, paranormal investigators and demonologists Lorraine and Ed Warren are summoned to a home of Carolyn and Roger Perrin. The Perrins and their 5 daughters have recently moved into a secluded home out in the country where supernatural presence has made itself known. Though the manifestations are relatively benign at first, events soon escalate in a horrifying fashion, especially after the Warrens discover the house's macabre history. And this was a scary movie. In the same way that Poltergeist, if you've ever seen Poltergeist, like weird stuff's happening, all of a sudden you figure out the history of this place and shit goes bonkers. And because it's a James Wan movie, it kind of cruises at first, and then when it hits, Continue, Budro. I just wanted to. Me and Curtis last week said, "Hey, we should give synopsises for people." So I'm doing.
That's a good idea,
I'm
brother.
doing my stuff. So continue on. Now we have shifted into Conjuring mode.
I mean, I think like I mentioned, I think it's just overall a good film. It's well paced. There's good acting in it. There's good direction. There's good set design. There's good music. It's just overly just a good general film. That just happens to be horror. So I mean, I knew about the story a little bit before watching it, so I didn't go into it completely blind. I knew the whole backstory with Ed and Lorraine Warren. So, like, I knew I was really kind of like, ooh, this is going to be good. And then now what I wasn't expecting was all the spinoffs that came out of it, like with Annabelle and the Nun and all that other stuff, which, those are all other separate podcasts. But,
I have a chronological order.
Yeah.
I have a chronological order for you guys. It's so interesting. The universe that was created.
Yeah. And see, that was something that I was like, wow, man, this is kind of crazy. But like, I mean, as far as if you're talking about Conjuring 1 and even Conjuring 2, I think they're solid films, and I think they're great examples of James Wan, the filmmaker.
Budro, the camera, when they're lifting up the couch and the girl runs under the couch into the house and the camera follows, that is like so badass. Like some of the camera work on this and some of the like super dark shots that all of a sudden contrast and stuff like that they're able to use lighting and camera work to, with especially some of the clap things. You're just like, it's
that's what I was saying.
And unbelievable.
That's what I was saying before you showed up, is that James Wan really knows how to manipulate light and shadow to invoke fear and invoke tension without making it be that cheap, the cheap jump scare with the cat jumping out.
They used to do that shit in old movies, in like super old spooky movies. What were we gonna say,
Curtis?
Nope.
No, I was gonna say. So, you want me to jump in and be Debbie Downer?
Let me first give some background.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
Like
dude.
These demonologists, they're real people. they really existed in real life. Lorraine and what's the other dude's name? Ed Warren.
Ed Warren.
Yeah, as a kid, I had a good friend, and Clint, I won't name names, so you don't have to stop me. He like came alive. Did you see that? He was like,
Jimothy Jimerson.
But,
it was Jimothy Jimerson.
Bent Claker was his name. No, no, it was a best friend of mine, had a little brother, and we would spend the night over each other's houses, but his parents were super into like the Necronomicon and demonology and stuff like that. And even like the dad even like left like out, like remember Snake Mountain? Had that little snake like doorway or whatever, that She-Ra Snake Mountain thing.
Was his name Ren Fanzig?
No, Ren Fanzig, yeah, totally. But he even took that and like, put it above their door or whatever. And I'm like, that's some weird shit. But he left out these books. And as a 10-year-old, I started reading The Demonologist, one of their books or whatever. And it was the basis of what became or what was the original Amityville Horror. And he was the only accredited person that was allowed to do exorcisms outside the Catholic Church. Catholic Church is real weird about that. To be a real exorcism, you have to get some kind of papal sign-off or something like that. But he was like not a, I wouldn't call him a skeptic. He was like, obviously all that shit is like pseudoscience at best. But they really...
One second. I'm sorry, Dustin.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say, what's up, BJ? Go ahead.
But, yeah, so that, the first Amityville Horror, like, scared the bejesus out of me. The whole, like, Jody, the pig, that's a crazy thing about all of the Conjuring and the Nun, all that. These are, like, documented, like, bad spirits that are in these movies. So if you follow that stuff or anything, it's like almost, like creating fictional, shows about musicians, but keeping all the musicians' names. So it's like pretty it's like pretty wild. Like if you're into that at all or had a brush with that, it's like spooky shit because, Curtis is like, probably like,
nope.
Thinks I'm ridiculous for being, afraid of that shit. But it's
ridiculous.
It's spooky voodoo stuff, man. And it's...
Dude, I've seen some crazy... But like, I went to a lot of church when I was younger, and I even was in this thing. It was a class like with about demon possession and stuff. And somebody did a whole class on this, and we watched all kinds of crazy films of people that are possessed, foaming at the mouth, talking. It's fucking wild, and it scares the shit out of me. Like that's the stuff that makes me cover my feet and not have them hanging off the side of the bed.
Totally.
I'm not scared of some guy with a hatchet coming in to sever my head. It's that shit that scares the hell out of me. The idea that there's a presence in the room with you. One time, me and my ex-girlfriend both woke up in the middle of the night at the same time, and she's like, "Do you feel that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "There's something in here with us." I had fucking goosebumps. It scared the shit out of me.
Totally.
And that's the stuff that scares me. And when you have a possession kind of a movie and those kind of things, that's when that's what scares me. And yeah. Woo. Not an axe man, not a guy with a ghost mask running around with a knife. None of that crap. Like if it's, I'm like, I don't want to watch that. I don't watch Faces of Death either. I don't need to see a bunch of blood, gross shit. But if it's something that's like that scares the shit out of me.
So I'm the opposite.
And you know what's even scarier than that? When you make it a period piece, like 70s, or 50s or something, because the clothes and the whole
because we didn't have technology and prove it wrong back then.
They just barely had thermal cameras and imaging scopes and optometers. Yeah, they did some shit that probably Curtis would probably laugh about, but that was the first.
Hey, real quick, I got a guest in here. It's going to join us.
Snap! Oh snap!
Oh snap!
Snappity.
Hello.
Ooh. It's that James guy.
Hey, it's Budro Partida.
No, Budro. It's that James guy from the 1,000 subscribed channel.
Shit.
I can't find the thing. There it is. Oh, there he is. That James guy. What's up, James? How you doing, man?
Hey, Clint. Thanks. Sorry for the delay. Hello, Dustin, Curtis,
Hello.
Budro. Nice to meet you, Budro.
Yeah, nice to meet you, man.
Kazakh says it's Mephisto, and he is fucking right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know if you remember when
and
we
I-
go to tour in Long Island, but my buddy Jonathan actually took me by that Amityville horror house. Yeah, they changed the front of it, you know, because of the those picturesque like half like windows with the had the you know, fireplace going up the chimney, going up the middle of it. So iconic. They changed the facade of it because people would go by and like constantly, you know, probably had somebody living in there like Curtis, total non-believer, just like totally shitting on the lore of the Amityville horror house.
I want to buy a haunted house so
Yeah.
fucking bad. I would buy it right now. If you
Dude,
got if you have a haunted house for sale, please sell
Yeah.
it to me. Please.
I would. Yeah, I'm the guy to talk to. But I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know, Curtis. Like anytime, like anybody was like, "There's ghosts here," or "This really weird," I would come around, and I guess I'm like totally like the ghost cooler, because I'd come around and there'd just be nothing. Like I'd just bum ghosts out or something. Anywhere we'd go that was supposed to be haunted, just like, no, we're just not feeling anymore. And I'd think like it's me. They're totally like, oh God, it's that guy.
Dustin Stroud.
Yeah.
Haunted cooler.
God.
Maybe you're.
I
a
do
ghost.
have something.
Maybe that's.
I do have something that I want to say is one of my favorite activities that I do with my kids is we watch ghost videos on YouTube,
Mhm.
you know, like all those ghost channels and stuff. And I started watching them just because, yeah, they're ghosts. I'm interested in like ghost stories and stuff, but more along the lines of, well, if this really is a ghost video, how did they pull it off, or how would I pull it off as a filmmaker? How would I
Nice.
actually, you know, how is this? And I'm not trying to be a shithead
Right,
trying to
yeah,
debunk
okay.
it.
No, the practical effect type of
Yeah,
play.
like,
how
but
would you do it?
now it's at the point where my kids watch it and they're like, okay, yeah, there's a camera back here, or there's somebody like behind the door, or the, you know, like, and I'm like, good, no, that's good. I want them to be critical thinkers, you
Mhm.
know, but. You know, for me, it's just like it's research. You know, for me, I'm like looking at it like, well, how, you know, that could have been like just photoshopped in, or
Dude.
that could have been dissolved in.
You're
you know,
totally
but-
storming their dojo.
Dude, you ruined Christmas.
There's
you
all the-
killed Santa.
There's all these videos online of like fake martial artists and like a real martial artist. They call it dojo storming. They'll like come in and just like whip everybody's ass or whatever. You're totally storming their dojo. You're like the filmmaker that's just like, yeah, whatever. I see that over here. Oh yeah, I got that VFX plug-in. Oh yeah,
Yeah, Steven Seagal does that all the time.
totally.
Hey, James, you
If they
said
had evidence. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say you were going to say something a little while ago.
Oh, I don't know, but like if they had proof of ghosts, it wouldn't be on YouTube, on some YouTube channel or whatever. It'd be all over so, and then I know like my girlfriend watches all those ghost hunting shows, and I've never got, I don't know, I believe in ghosts and stuff, like and we can't explain it, but I can't watch the ghost hunter shows or whatever, you know what I mean?
They're
Like,
keeping
if
it from us,
If it was
right, Curtis?
It's
well, if they
No,
It
not right.
wouldn't be on their television show. It would have hit the news first before it
well, how
premiered on like the Discovery Network or something.
how do you feel
So,
about those alien shows that were like, okay, we're getting leaked alien
Wait,
stuff?
wait. Hashtag tangent. Hashtag.
Aliens.
Wait. Like wait.
I'm just saying.
So I will say a caveat
I like that.
with the James Wan films. I'm not. I don't like ghosts. Don't scare me. I don't believe in ghosts. I think it's bullcrap. Like I don't like. That's me. Okay,
I
I'm
don't
Debbie
believe in
Downer.
hobbits
Sorry.
either, but I like Lord of the Rings. You know what I'm saying, Curtis?
I do believe in Bigfoot. But I don't believe in ghosts. Like, and so the movies like that don't scare me. So the first hour of The Conjuring was kind of boring to me. Like it was like, and again, it was a tonally like James Wan. James Wan is just a good director. Okay, I don't know. We can argue that if you want, but I don't
I don't think
think it's
anybody's
gonna
arguing
argue.
that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's just a good director. Totally, it was a very good film, but it was just kind of boring. And then the last 30 minutes hit, and like it got to physical, like realism.
Hell yeah,
like
Prince
something
Zodiac.
is physically attacking you. Like
First up,
Prince
Prince Zodiac says the government is hiding proof of ghosts from us. I think you're right. And Kazakh,
The ghost of
believe
the
what
ghost
you
of
gotta do. I ain't afraid of no ghosts. That's right.
Curtis ain't afraid of no ghosts. Baker. That's a great.
I want to buy a haunted house so bad. I can get it so cheap, but.
What does it say?
Well,
wait until you hear your grandpa's disembodied voice in your living room like I did. Yikes.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, so everybody has. Like, I truly believe that believers, or I truly think that believers see what they want to see, hear what they want to hear, and non-believers don't. I have families that are, or family members who are straight up believers of certain things and this and that and the other. It doesn't matter, but you're more likely to be receptive to that. Okay. But not to get off the rails. James Wan is a great filmmaker. Tonally, it was spectacular, but all of his movies like kind of hit in the last 30 minutes, and it kind of bugs me a little bit. Like he's definitely a good filmmaker. Like, tonally, it's so like, and we talked about with Malignant, like the score and stuff like that. Like he hits it, man. He really does. But it's definitely, you can see the fingerprint. Like even if you didn't know you were watching a James Wan movie, if you had seen some of his films before, you could see it. And he's I think trying with Malignant to get away from that, but I don't know if it worked or not.
So you didn't like his world building on the way to the payoff?
I liked it.
I'm talking
good.
I'm talking about The Conjuring, not Shang-Chi. But you don't like the world building on the way to the payoff?
Damn.
No,
sorry.
I think that's gonna be.
Curtis,
go ahead.
Sorry, can I say that The Conjuring is the first horror film that I actually enjoyed in decades, because it was more of like a 70s suspenseful thriller film. And, it felt like that, and there was jump scares, but it wasn't heavily relying on gore. It was more of the story, the setup, the atmosphere, even the way it was shot. So I think that's brilliant. Now the second one was good, but it wasn't as good. But a sequel never really is, unless you're Empire Strikes Back, which is the go-to for everyone. But I just wanted to say that because you have to define what kind of horror it is before you talk about James Wan, correct?
But fair enough.
That's
but at the same time, like,
that's a good.
So I would.
Go ahead, Curtis. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, I was just gonna. You're correct.
It's cool, Dustin. I'm glad that you agree with that. My point's good.
I totally do. I wanted to interject and say he makes three. People kind of said he'd only made two, but now he makes at least three different horror movies. The gore, hopeless gore movie.
But Saw wasn't that gory. The original Saw wasn't that like.
I mean, for the time, Curtis, the guy cuts his arm off, and there's a bunch of the death scenes were all pretty gory for the time. The problem is there's just the context now is just like it was a realism though. It was a realism to the gore that was less gory than some of the Friday the 13th with like or a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but there was a realism to the bone crushing kind of thing. But I think with
Baker versus Baker Baby,
Malignant, I think he's made a third type. It's not the ghost story. It's not the and he's created all these different with Conjuring 2. He had at least 2 different new bad guys you could have spin-offs for. So he's like really good. I don't know if he writes all his own scripts or if he like co-writes, but if you just count up the number of bad guys that this guy of like foils that this guy creates, it's a whole bunch. I mean, I don't know another horror creator, if you're lucky, you get 1 or 2, right? But this guy's got like 6 or 7 I've counted.
Everything he's done has turned into a franchise.
Dustin,
I'm not saying.
I just want to say, because I wanted to interrupt Curtis again, because this shtick I'm doing right now. I haven't seen Malignant yet, but would you say it's more like you said a different kind of horror? So is it like a Shyamalan kind of horror, or
It's
what's the closest thing you could
dude,
describe it as?
you just gotta watch it.
Dude.
It's a surprise. You can't. It's like a Shyamalan thing. It is a surprise, and the movie takes a turn, and you don't expect it,
But-
and it makes it fun, and it turns into fucking ridiculous, like Chucky ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
you know
a
what I mean?
bit 80s meets a bit 90s.
Yeah,
but
it-
with a completely new. It reminds me of how Stranger Things kind of created this genre.
I would say that it's very much like Basket Case, The Changeling.
Yeah, there you go,
like,
Changeling. Oh, that's a great example.
Like that
Changeling's
kind
good.
of their era of horror film.
So like the Tom, like Poltergeist, would you say?
No,
No, that's more of The Conjuring. Is
No.
more that way, but the
Okay.
this is
He's
more,
going, yeah.
you know, like Malignant is more like stuff's going down and there's mysteries and this girl starts having visions.
He's trying to set it in the real world.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry.
then shit gets crazy, and then it turns straight up John Wick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's fucking crazy.
It's an interesting ride, and there's a couple storytelling devices that he uses that are like I haven't seen put together. Like you have the almost sleuthy like character that's the sister, like I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. You know what I mean? And a lot of like shuffling through papers and dark rooms and stuff like that with fucking real prison violence added into, like pretty much like I don't know, it's like 15 pounds shoved in a 10-pound bag, and I shouldn't like it, but I really did.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
I started
and
out like
fucking awesome camera work and lighting and shit, and all the douchey people that you wanted to fucking get their comeuppance totally do.
They were trying to help that young lady. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
They
sure.
were trying to help her.
I'm not a
She had
Hey,
a
to
parents-
everyone,
I'm not a
to everyone
dancer.
that's joined and is watching now, make sure you smash that like button and you hit subscribe.
Yes.
Make sure you and
Thanks,
that
James.
notification bell so you don't miss any of these verses and you don't miss any of the shows that Clint puts on. 'Cause,
All you
yeah,
young kids that like
Hit
to
that subscribe
smash
button.
these days.
Hit that
Smash that subscribe.
button. Yeah. Yeah. Also, Spooky Bats.
But I
I
would
skipped
say-
Scoop.
Like to smash.
I skipped Spooky Bat's comment earlier. Well, that's too big for the screen. Yeah, those ghost hunters need to stop messing around with Ouija boards and need to stop playing music in their videos overshadowing the evidence. That's right. You
Preach
know,
it, Spooky Bats.
Preach it.
Spooky Bats.
Ouija boards scare the shit out of me too.
Yeah, Ouija boards are. That's the
Curtis
same.
lost all.
That's the
fucking
same shit right
respect
there. That's
for
what
me.
we're talking about.
Can I
Oh
can I-
god!
I love this.
Or-
YouTube.
Budro.
Oh no.
Oh my god!
Let's do it,
Don't
guys.
do it!
Can I-
Don't do it!
Can I say two quick stories,
Please.
Clint?
Yeah, go for it, man.
Okay. So it's just out of film school. It's like 2001. I just moved to this place where I lived on the main floor, and on the top floor was the old jazz musician. He was the one who handled the rent, and underneath was Kevin, Dr. Fitz. He was a junglist. So it was like my first month or two there, and Hap, the jazz musician, had a dog. I don't know if you guys like Don Cherry's dog. I can't remember the name of like something a terrier. Yeah, anyways, it was kind of old, right? And so one night I'm sleeping, I'm in bed, I'm facing the window away from the door, and all of a sudden it just gets super cold, and I get what's that feeling they call us? Like,
You live in
you're
Canada.
sleeping.
Of course it's going to get
Well, hold
super
on,
cold.
no.
Goosebumps.
I'm talking,
Canada.
You talking about goosebumps?
Man, like like through my bones. So
God damn it.
So, anyways, I'm just like, I'm freaking out. I can't move. I'm frozen. This feeling of dread hits me. And I'm like, okay, there's something behind me. And I'm not making this up. So I turn around and I look, and then there's this big, like, must have been like 9-10 feet tall, like, guy in a freaking cloak. And I swear to God, it was death, man. It was death. And I was like, nope. And I turned back around, and he said to me, he goes, don't worry, James, it's not your time yet. And then I woke up, and the next morning, Hap's dog had died that night. The dog died that night. And I don't know if I was like dreaming or if that actually freaking happened. And then another story my mom told me about was when they were kids, her grandmother my great grandmother had a Ouija board, and then she would take it every once in a while, and it scared her so much. Something happened that scared her so much. She packed it up. She took it downstairs in the apartment building, threw it in a dumpster, right, and then came back, and then the next day it was back in the cupboard, right, and then she would never talk about what happened. And again, this is a story I heard from my family, so I wasn't there, but yeah. So those are my two supernatural stories for now.
That reminded me of Daisy, the dog in The Conjuring, being chained up outside. Then all of a sudden, bum bum bum.
Yeah, that's a fucking clue in. If I had a dog, I moved somewhere and the dog was like, "Fuck that, I'm not going in there." In fact, like my dog passed away, but she's like really like sensitive. Like she could, tell somebody was coming or something like that. There's a couple of times my wife. Somebody was like walking outside, the dog would just like never bark ever, ever, ever. All of a sudden start barking. That's the most unsettling thing in the world, where you think you have a dingo that doesn't bark, and then all of a sudden starts like barking, like, oh, I'm like freaking out.
It's just the Dark Lord, Dustin.
Yeah. There's stories
Mando,
about
my dog. Sorry, Dustin.
I'm sorry,
but
go ahead.
Mando, my dog, bark. I just want to, before you get too far, he doesn't bark unless I tell him to, but like when he barks, like something is wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Like someone's creeping around the house or something. It's good to have a dog like that.
There's I don't know if
I'm
Budro or
gonna keep interrupting everyone because I know Budro's just sitting there staring at the camera.
I'm God
damn it, James.
Yeah, I'm
such
a
shut up and
I'm
stop
such a fan of
people.
Canada that I'm like, there's all these Canadian like fucking stereotypical and slurs and shit. I was like brought up on Bob and Doug McKenzie and SCTV and shit. So I'm like,
it's
the ghost.
jelly.
I'm like,
you're a hoser.
Hey, you ghosts are a bunch of hosers. Like totally take off, eh? No, you can't have any of my back bacon. Get out of here, eh?
Put another shrimp on the bobby.
I'm totally gonna pull this toque over my head until you go away,
mate.
No, but the experience you had, Budro or Curtis, have you heard of like the tall men? It's like a common. People have experienced that before. The tall shadows. They call it the tall man or the tall man. It's very interesting, man.
Yeah.
It's a common. Curtis would probably, common things like that. You could almost say psychosomatic. It comes from the same part of the brain, maybe a chemical releasing or something like that. But a lot of people have experienced it. It's interesting. I'd be devil's advocate to any of that shit.
Native American Indian lore too. The tall man.
Yeah, actually, our buddy, I'll name him Sean Neal, had a funny on tour. He had a weird feeling on his chest like that too, and he said he could like almost feel or hear drums. He's like in a part of Middle America where there was like a lot of like previous native activity and possibly some wrong done to the sacred lands and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe he's just trying to scare the shit out of me too. I'm a big puss. So,
dude, do you remember?
I'm having a staring contest with Budro.
Go staring contest. Go,
dude.
You win. Always do.
Some of the most fun times that we had on tour, we would play these theaters that were 100 years old, and we would go, and there was always some like stage manager or like door guy or club manager or something that's like, hey guys, we started asking everywhere we went. They're like, hey dude, is this place known to be haunted? These are old places with like sandbags in the rafters and like you can and they're like, yeah dude, this place is you want to go to the haunted part? Like, yeah, they closed that other section off. Like, we don't even go over there. We use it for storage, but nobody likes to go up there. We're like, let's go. We had video cameras. We would take photos, and like, we'd end up with orbs and stuff in the photos
orbs were like
and
the
stuff.
big thing, the big proof of like paranormal.
And we would all, and by the end of the night, we're all half drunk anyway. Except for Dustin, if not full drunk. But yeah, we'd end up going up there, and they'd take us up there, and we're like walking with with the bags and all this stuff way above the stage. And we'd go through, they'd open this part, and we'd go through these doors, and it's cold and dark, and they've got like they're like, oh shit, the lights don't work up here anymore, and somebody would like turn a flashlight on, and we're like in there, and we're up in a cold old theater. There's always gusts of cold air, but all of a sudden, like, we'd be drunk and scared, and then somebody would be like, it's cold over here, guys. And we're like, it's not cold over here. Like, dude, it's cold in this spot. There's something near me. We would all get scared. And it was like Scooby-Doo. And then we'd be like, zoinks, and we'd run out of the place. We'd like get out of there. And Mark was always the first one to be like, oh, dude, it's on me.
Dude, do you remember when I convinced him that there was a big light, like it's probably like Venus or Jupiter or some shit like that, and I was like, had a flashlight. We're out in Lahidas or somewhere in the middle. I'm like, he's like, don't call it over here. Don't call it over here.
Hey, dude.
Like, just fucking
well, watch it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I don't want to piss him off.
Yeah.
We want to have a Riddle and Kids reunion someday.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mark. That was me. I was totally scared, eh?
So we had some crazy times, but dude, like we played these theaters that are like, yeah, this place was made in like 1894. We're like, cool. What do you got? We're like, every now and then we get a ghost story and stuff. Yeah, well, I loved The Conjuring. I never saw The Conjuring until today, and I was like, I saw the latest one that came out, but I'd never seen the OG, and I'm stoked that I saw it. It was really, really good, and that was that pacing of holding back and give it a big payoff. 2/3 of the way through the movie is definitely a James Wan thing. I
thought the casting was fucking
the casting
brilliant.
is fantastic in that movie.
Yeah.
It was Vera Farmiga. She's fantastic. I love her in anything I've ever seen her in.
Dude, she plays the Warren.
Yeah,
dude, that is like
Lorraine.
Dead
She's
on.
Lorraine.
Dead on. I've seen so much footage of those people. That shit is like dead on. That's what scares the shit out of me because I'm like,
yeah,
it's like I halfway believe that on the real.
And Ron Livingston, I mean, that dude always is badass. Like
he's good. He's good too because you think he's like, come on, guys, it's okay. Like he plays that character where he's like, let's be sensible here.
Lily Taylor too, the mom who gets ends up possessed. She's always good too. So they did a good job with casting people that aren't super famous, where it's distracting, but they're like, oh, I remember that person from that other movie. I like them. You know what I mean? It was cool.
The kids didn't suck either. It's like hard to wrangle. It's hard to wrangle that many children to be consistent.
That should be a PSA. Like, the kids didn't suck either.
The kids didn't suck.
Look at that James guy's screen. He's got all kinds of craziness on his screen.
Who's that handsome guy caressing a teddy bear with a huge tickets to that gun show?
What?
I love the Photoshop of the gun show there.
Yeah,
it's great.
Can you even have those kind of guns up there in Canada?
Ugh.
No.
Well, this was a versus. Which one would you say you liked better? And maybe it's apples and oranges. Maybe they're not a fair comparison, but maybe they are. Budro, what would you say if you had to pick one? If you could only watch either one of those tomorrow, which one would it be?
Conjuring.
Conjuring?
I'm voting for Conjuring.
Yeah. How about you, James? Oh, you haven't seen Malignant yet. How about you, Curtis?
I choose Malignant.
Because you haven't seen it, so you're gonna watch it tomorrow.
He's like, I choose love.
Conjuring.
You choose
Conjuring
wrong.
is like, Conjuring is one of my favorite horror films in the last couple of decades. So.
You chose wisely. How about you, Curtis?
As much as I have issues with The Conjuring, it's more in his vein. It's more stylistically his. It was a better film.
All right. What do you think, Dustin?
Dude, I choose Malignant, and here's why. I am way more scared of The Conjuring.
Because
I'm way more like The Conjuring.
That's the point of a horror film.
The Conjuring keeps me up at night, but I would watch The Malignant. I would watch Malignant. I'm a Jeepers Creepers fan. I like a good.
The point is entertainment. Whether you're entertained getting scared. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You're not a horror fan. No. Wait. Hold on. Whoa.
You don't know me.
No. I'm just telling you. As a horror fan.
I'm a grown-ass man.
As a horror fan, here's the thing. If a film can affect you that much,
I don't like to feel feelings.
Then
I reject feelings.
I know, but whenever everybody sees a comedy and they're like, "Oh, that made me laugh," they're like, "Oh, that's great." When everybody sees a drama and they're like, "Oh, that made me dramatic," "Oh, and I'm crying," "Oh," like, "Oh," they're happy with it. When everybody sees an action movie and they're like, "Oh, I'm pumped up," "That's an action movie," and they're happy with it. When everybody sees a horror movie, they're like, "Oh, that fucking scared me. I'm never gonna watch that again." It's like, no, that's the point. If it affects you in that way, like if it makes you really truly feel fear, like that's the point. Like that's what you should go with. And I'm not saying you're wrong with your pick, but I'm just saying that that's a misunderstanding with horror. Like a lot of people are like they don't want that feeling, but embracing that feeling is what is important. You need to embrace like your fear. You need to conquer your fear. You need to go, horror helps you deal with your fears, and it's a beautiful thing. And I'm just talking because we have a blue screen right now. And
keep talking.
Can I ask you guys?
I can sell you a haunted house.
Oh, fuck.
But no, that's the thing. Horror, like people get pissed off when horror scares them, and it's like that's the point of horror. Like every other genre, they don't get mad when it does what they say they're going to do. Like horror is there to scare you.
Except for rom-coms, I hate like having feelings.
That's just a fucking
Jerry Maguire fucking
bullshit.
enrages me. Yeah, me and a look.
Well, yeah, you should run for president. Like that's it.
Can you bring that comment up about Kazakhs about guns?
Yeah. Hold on a sec.
I
hit something and just screwed everything up.
Thanks for clarifying that, Curtis.
All the guns.
I almost thought about
but
changing
did it truly affect you?
I felt like changing my answer, and then I was like, nah, I enjoyed the other one more. I enjoyed the ride of the other one. Just because it surprised me. I mean, The Conjuring, especially because I knew, like, the backstory already. By the way, interesting flip. In Amityville Horror, it's the dad that gets possessed by Jody and tries to kill the family. And in The Conjuring, it's the mom. So it's really interesting.
Spooky Bat says, fun fact, absolutely everywhere in the world is haunted. So think about that.
That's, you just,
If you believe in ghosts.
That's so meta. You just blew my mind. The Slender Man. There you go.
Slender Man.
Have you guys seen The Final Girls?
The what?
We were talking about that last week.
It was a movie that came out a few years ago, kind of independent. It's kind of like fourth wall breaking. Like they realize they're in a horror film,
I like that.
And the way they check that out, man. I'd like to talk to you guys about that on the verses. We could do like The Final Girls versus Cabin in the Woods.
Ooh,
we were actually talking about that last week, and I think we weren't we talking about that?
About what?
Final Girl.
No, I don't think so.
That was your other podcast, Curtis.
Yeah.
No,
that was your side piece. That was your side piece, Curtis.
Talking to Clink about.
Oh, probably,
yeah.
Talking to Clink.
But no, I definitely want to check that out.
Can I give? Can I give you guys the chronological order of the universe of The Conjuring? Because it's kind of like kind of an unfair versus. So shout out to the GameSpot. I was like putting notes together and I read that thing. I've seen like most of these, but some of the kind of B-ish ones I haven't seen. So the first one is The Nun. That takes place pre-World War II in a Slavic country. It's like that's the evil demon spirit or whatever. Hey, that was awesome. That was really good. And then the next one in the series, this is chronological order, not in the way the movies have been made, but Annabelle, the spirit inhabits Annabelle. And then there's Annabelle Santa Monica, which is kind of a B-ish one, but it's kind of cool too. That introduced the Father Paris is in the first on Annabelle. I think he's in the Annabelle Santa Monica too. Then The Conjuring, the first one. Then Amityville Haunting, which is I put that in there because it's like, at the end of The Conjuring, they talk about the Amityville situation. And then, what was it? Annabelle Comes Home, which is another kind of B-ish one. It's cool how they reintroduce, just like the Saw. Like every once in a while, there's a Saw that you're just like kind of like eye roll. I'll watch it because I watch these Saw movies. But Annabelle Comes Home was like that to me. But The Curse of how how do you say
La
it?
Llorona?
La Llorona.
La Llorona. You're not from the valley, that's
I
for sure.
fucking got pissed off actually because I'm like, that's not from L.A. Fuck you guys. But maybe it is. I don't know. I'm from Texas, so
It's a long river, man.
yeah, that's true. But anyway, and that one's next, which I thought was pretty cool. Father Paris comes back in that one. And then there's The Conjuring 2, which is the England one, which spawned another demon one, and The Crooked Man, which I think is a really cool foil. Really cool, like...
Where's Annabelle creation in that?
That's the first Annabelle. It's the fucking kid dies. Oh, I hate movies where like the kid dies and it's like real, like, you know, obviously because I have kids, but I'll fucking call my wife and be like, hey, how are you guys doing? Did you watch another scary movie again? Did you read something on the news? My wife knows immediately. But like the kid dies and how the demon comes in, the parents make like a deal like, look, if we can just see our kid again, and, you know, that's the spirit goes into the Annabelle doll.
Yeah.
It's pretty badass. So think about that. That's like 8 movies. I don't know if there's enough besides Saw.
8 fucking movies.
Yeah.
8 movies. Oh, there's like 10 or 12
Dustin.
Saws.
Yes, sir.
Dustin, what about when you watch Mac and Me and then that kid gets pushed off the cliff in a wheelchair?
I
Does that freak you out and you gotta
I
check
just
on your
start
kid?
wanting to do hand stuff with Paul Rudd. That's what that makes me want to do. So I don't know. It's a real weird reaction. I don't know if everybody feels.
Weird.
I don't know
weird.
if everybody feels like that, but you know, that and Clueless too makes me want to do hand stuff with Paul Rudd. I don't know.
Clueless?
Yeah.
Clueless?
Yeah, he was in
That's
Clueless.
you got to go into that. That's a side tangent, but you got to
That's
go
like
into
going to
that.
Subway
what are you
for me.
talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
By the way, I think they
Hey.
should make a horror movie about Brittany Murphy like dying, and I think the chick from Riverdale could play her.
Hey,
hey, way to take Debbie Downer from me. Good
Yeah.
job, Dustin.
Yeah.
hey, I don't know if you remember this, but when we played the Craig Kilborn show, not the Craig
I
Ferguson,
remember that
played
one.
the Craig Kilborn show, Paul Rudd was the guest.
Mhm. I think he's wearing all white after
And he was-
Labor Day. How
Yes, I know.
fucking... I was just like, you're
And-
a
and-
gangster.
You fart on y'all?
Come on
We-
over.
we
Let's
pl-
go skiing.
we
Let's
pl-
ride that Nordic track. Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right.
You,
And so-
you wanted it.
So we played and afterwards
If
went
you
over
want.
and sat in the audience and watched the show, and he was getting interviewed. It was pretty cool.
He looks the same age all the time.
Yeah, he looked
you're
exactly
good.
the same that he as he does now. Speaking of downers, real quick, I just wanted to throw this up. I wanted to do this sometime during the show.
Yeah, the creepy
And-
fucking
and-
stepbrother.
Okay, stop talking.
Oh.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, hey, shout out to Norm Macdonald. Rest in peace, bro. You brought us a lot
R.I.P., brother.
of great stuff over the years, and you're loved and respected and appreciated all over the world, and you live on forever. So thanks for doing what you did, and thank you. And now back to the program. Back to wah wah.
Yeah.
But no, dude.
No,
Norm
I'm glad you
Macdonald,
brought that up. I'm
one of the
glad you brought
goats.
that up.
One of the all-time greats, dude. I love Norm Macdonald.
Maybe his ghost will come on this podcast.
Yeah.
This ghost will be the new Conjuring. Conjuring 3.
Conjuring.
And I won't believe
4.
it. And I'll be like, all right, I'm out of here. Like,
Hey, he'd be like, hey,
I keep
Hey,
waiting
I'm-
for
I-
one of you.
I'm a freaking ghost
I
here.
keep waiting for one of you guys to keep saying too soon, too soon.
Yeah.
he'll be like, hey, I'm haunting your house. I'm haunting your house.
This was supposed to be about.
That was my Norm Macdonald
This is
impression.
also
So-
supposed to be like a Sways, like, you know.
Well, no,
and
so
I actually text Clint. I'm like,
actually-
motherfucker, stealing the thunder from Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Hey, we got enough.
But honestly,
There's enough thunder for both.
That's true.
honestly,
He's
okay.
Canadian thunder.
So, Canadian Thunder.
That is that's actually
Canadian
James'
Thunder.
superhero alias is Canadian Thunder. I cannot wait to make a picture of
That's
that.
what the snow
You know,
bunny. it's
Swayze
what the-
played a ghost once.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that.
Now-
Damn it. That was
So
gonna
now that
be
we're
my.
talking about
Now we're getting into
Conjuring,
That's
Sways.
gonna be a segue.
You want to go into Sways? You ready to go for Sways?
Yes.
Are we gonna still?
Yes.
Are we gonna keep talking?
don't sing it.
Do we,
Don't sing it. Just
do
bring
we
it.
got some Roadhouse clips?
I don't have any clips, but I will say, hey,
Be
Budro.
nice. Till
I
it's
don't. I don't
time
know
not to be
how
nice.
big of a how big of a piece of cake you wanted to have. So if you were like, bro, I got to get up and edit in the morning, and you need to dip, you're not obligated to be here. You can dip anytime, but if you want to hang out all night, you're more than welcome to hang out. So I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know what's on your plate, so I don't want you to
feel
be
like you're the moral compass of the show, to be honest.
Well, my brother was on last week.
This is the day that Swayze died. So if Budro wants to dip on the day that Swayze died, fair enough, man.
That's spot on. I'm sorry.
Okay, guys.
I gotta be a loudmouth here.
Yeah.
Dustin is spot on. Budro is the moral compass of the show. So that's the perfect observation I've ever heard in my life.
Oh. And on that note, I do have to say I have to split.
Okay. So I just last week my brother was on, and the next day he's like, I didn't know it was going to be a 3-hour show, and I was like, dude, you could have left any time. Yeah. He didn't want to be rude, so he just hung out. He's like, Jesus Christ, I got to be up in a minute. I got to be up in 2 hours. So anyway, dude, we always appreciate you hanging out, your friendship. You're a good dude. I'm glad you and I connected this year and became friends. And your input on the in the horror is always fun too, and I always like getting input from a filmmaker, because I feel like, if somebody asked me what I thought as a songwriter, I could contribute, and I always appreciate your contribution. So thanks, dude, and have a great night. I can't wait to see what's going on with the documentary that you're working on right now. So why don't you plug that? Let people know where they can find you. People don't notice that I'm eating a pretzel and I'm trying to act like I don't have something in my mouth right now. But let us know where they can find you on social media, and tell everybody what you're working on, and then thanks again for coming on the show.
Well, thanks for having me. I do have to dip out. I have to put my kids to bed. I got to do the whole dad thing real quick. And then, I got to take care of some stuff. I'm slammed with edits this week. And I'm really busy with the documentary. The documentary is called Bloody and Bruised, The Untold Story of the Back Room, which is the infamous heavy metal bar that is in Austin, Texas, or that was in Austin, Texas. It's been 30 years. So working on that right now. We actually we just finished our second to last interview. We've got one more interview coming up. That's going to be a big one. We have our live show coming up at Come and Take It, September 24th. Come and Take It live. We got a couple of backroom bands. We got a couple of other people showing up, making special prizes, limited edition Bruised merch, lots of cool stuff going on. So definitely check us out, bloodyandbruised.com. Check out our Facebook page, all that good stuff. Lots of stuff in the works as this documentary continues to grow over the next year. And with that, I will say I'm excited, not only from speaking of scary stuff, and I'm a big reader when it comes to filmmaking and stuff like that. I just got this in the mail. I don't know if you guys can see it. Can you read that?
It's a little blurry.
It looks a little blurry.
Yeah.
It's called 8
Days in the
Woods.
8 Days in the Woods?
In the womb?
Woods.
Did you say womb, Curtis?
Yeah.
It's called 8 Days in the Woods, and this is the making of the Blair Witch.
Oh,
so this could be
nice.
So this is not too. I think it's just a couple months ago. So I'm hopefully taking. I want to try this, read this a little bit, and then that could be its own document or its own podcast with you guys later on.
Cool.
If you guys ever want to do that. So,
Well,
but yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. And
Budro,
like I said,
sorry, man. Before you go, I just wanted to ask you, what do you think about Rebel Without a Crew?
I have that
the
downstairs.
book by Rodriguez.
I read that.
Yeah,
I read that.
I learned more. I learned more
ago.
from I learned more from that book than I did in film school, man. I want to sit down with you on the show, and I want to talk film with you. Definitely.
Oh, absolutely, dude. I love talking film. I could talk horror film. I could talk any film, but I love talking movies. And the thing is, I know that I can geek out for a long time about film, and sometimes it'll make sense, sometimes it won't. But no other film people will get it, So
just geek stuff. I'm talking production and behind the scenes and influences and timing when you take a shot and set up your you set up your shot list and how you storyboard. I want to talk to you about all that stuff, man.
Hey, and Budro, I'll put you in touch with James, and one of these times when you have one of your shorts coming out or something, or anything you're working on that you want to promote, I'm sure we could get you over at Small Screen too and talk about
100%.
that stuff. So that would be
totally.
a lot. It'd be a lot of fun. Edward, who's the other guy on that channel, loves horror too. So anytime we got something, I'll put in this bug in your ear, James. Anytime you need a horror director to chime in on something, let me know and I'll get a hold of Budro, or I'll just I'll connect y'all. But go do the dad. Go be a super dad, and we'll see you soon, Budro. I really appreciate you again. And later, brother. Have a great night, man.
All right. Good night, guys.
All right, brother.
Later, man.
So yeah, we're gonna be talking about a bunch of fun stuff. Appreciate you guys watching. Man, Curtis, I appreciate you coming on to small screen earlier and talking over there. And Dustin, I'm always glad to have you on. So guys, thanks for tuning in. Again, like, share, subscribe, click that notification bell, and let's see what the last your clothes. Give them to me.
Oh yeah, that's the
Give me your clothes, your boots, and the keys to the motorcycle.
keys to your motorcycle. Your clothes, give them to me. Yep, completing
Bye
my
all.
quote.
Bye, Bobby. Thanks for hanging out. James, thanks for continuing to be on the show. And subscribe, everyone. We're going to see you next time. And as always, we had a great time, and we will see you soon. I will see you guys Thursday on Answering for Friend, and Friday on Small Screen, and then again next Tuesday. So as I like to tell all of my favorite people, see you next Tuesday.